Well, hello everyone, and thank you again for coming on to the Facebook Give Back Breakthrough Series. And I am so excited today. I know we always say we're excited, and it's not just words because those that I have invited onto this program, I know. And I know I have the anticipation of what will happen. And today is no exception. We've got Renee Koesler here with us. And welcome, Renee.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Well, and so, Renee comes from a very, very background. And one of the things that attracted me to her right off the bat is she does crazy things like climbing, very high mountains in remote areas of the world. And, so Renee, real quick, would you share with us a little bit about your background and, how you came to be where you are and what you're doing now?
Okay. Well, my former career was I was a professor in the field of outdoor and environmental education, and I loved it. It's where my heart was, it's where my passion was. And I just really wanted to pass along my passion and interest in adventure, in the outdoors and nature to other people so that they could continue to protect it and learn about it and see the worth in going to the next step or climbing a peak. So that was my former career, and currently I'm an adventure coach and speaker.
And so that really leads us through success and how to achieve what we are doing in all the different areas that we participate in life and business. And it's through adventure. And, for everyone, mostly everyone knows that I fly airplanes, I race cars, I do all the kinds of crazy stuff. And people think I'm an adrenaline junkie, and I'm really not. And I think I perceive you somewhat the same way, is that the fulfillment of what we're doing is really the reason we do it.
Exactly. And the whole idea of adventure, and I talk about me identifying myself as an adventure coach. And I honestly don't think that there are any other adventure coaches out there. I don't know. I have not met one before.
I haven't either.
But the point of adventure is my best client, my the client that I really like working with are those people who like to take some risks, like to not settle for mediocrity, those people who want to step into the unknown and go to the next step and the next level. And that's what an adventure is, because oftentimes you step into it, you don't know where it's going to go or what kind of experience you're going to have, but you've got the spirit of adventure. And that's what I like in people.
You said something interesting, and I'd like to ask you a question around that. You said people that like adventure. What about the person that sees the need for risk and adventure, but they're a little more timid? They have more of a risk non-tolerance, if you will. Uh, are you able to work with them as well?
Oh, absolutely. But they have to be willing to understand that part of what I do is to get them to move
Yeah.
and to get them to step out into unknown situations and take some risks, even though they're a little frightened. And that, as you and I know, Gary, that's a limiting belief.
Yes.
So it's a
That,
matter of stepping out into the next level and to go for the adventure. They don't have to be climbing mountains and rafting rivers and traveling the world 3 times over. I love those kind of people because I am that person. But it's the spirit of adventure is what I look for.
yeah, I remember when we bungee jumped, and the everybody went, and my wife was there, and she's not an adventure person, and but she said, just because I'm scared doesn't mean that I have to do this in spite of being scared. And she went up on the tower, and she got mad because the guy at the facility, she goes, push me. And he goes, I can't, it's illegal. You gotta step off the platform.
Mhm.
And that's really one of the things that I was just hearing you say, is you've got to be willing to step off the platform and not just have it be a good idea.
Yeah, I agree.
So, how do you use the concept of adventure coach in helping your clients? Uh, to see and embrace leadership and, really the elements of what they need to do to in order to get a possibility, probability, or the reality of what they want to achieve.
Hmm. Yeah. Thanks for that question. For me, I find so many metaphors in the outdoors. And I use those metaphors to get people to move from one place to another. Think about the storm that you have when you're hiking along. Don't we have storms in our life? What about the tree that's fallen across the trail? Oh my gosh, I guess I can't go down this path because there's the tree in the way. Well, you can use that as an excuse to turn around and go back. Or you can find an alternative way to get around that tree and still continue on toward your goal, your dream, your desire, whatever that might be. I think about the metaphor of crossing a stream. You could say, oh, it's too swift, it's too high. I don't think I can do it. But if you take some hiking poles, and I call them supports, to get yourself across that stream, chances are you're going to get across that stream much more smoothly because you've got the support of the hiking poles. And you think about hiking poles as the support of people around you, your coaches, your friends, your family members, those people who encourage you and support you to get across that swift or scary stream that might take you downstream. So it all boils down to here, doesn't it? There's so much going on up here in your limiting beliefs.
Well, and as you're describing the poles, I well, because of having very little feelings in my feet, I use trekking poles just to hike. And it made me feel like I wasn't enough. I should be able to do it without it. And then I saw a show one time that said I could go 130% or I could go 30% further with the trekking poles than without them. It wasn't about having a condition or I wasn't able to be good enough to overcome that. And
Mhm.
is that what you're talking about when you're talking about, using the support and the elements, the people that actually allow you to do more than you could do on your own?
Yeah, absolutely. I just think the metaphors, even though you might not be a hiker, you might not be a person who's going to cross a stream, but you've seen it. You get the understanding of the metaphor and the power behind that, and it begins to make sense. Climbing a mountain, getting to the top, you have to put one foot in front of the other or you'll never get to where your desire is and where you want to go. um,
Y-
yeah.
we didn't talk about this before when we were getting ready for doing this program, but you just came back from Nepal.
Mhm.
And I am so, and you invited me to go, and I was so bummed that it wasn't. It just didn't work, and it was just like, oh man, because I've always wanted to go to Everest. And you did a climb. Now it wasn't Everest, but it was the peak, I believe, right next to it. And would you share just a little bit about maybe the motivation and you know you don't just pick a mountain and say go. So a little bit of the adventure around actually doing that climb that just happened here a couple of months ago.
Yeah, I did it in October, but it wasn't the first thought I've ever had of this climb before. I've actually been sort of dreaming about it and thinking about it for 20 years. But I always came up with excuses because I thought, well, I don't have the time. It takes a longer time. I don't really have the money, and I always have student groups with me. So this was my fifth time actually going to Nepal. And I decided a year ago now that I was going to do this. I wasn't getting any younger, and I didn't want to regret it using the words by saying I shoulda, coulda, woulda. And so I just buckled up and did some, additional training to get to that peak. It was a very technical peak. It was over 20,000 feet in elevation. And no, I didn't need oxygen, but the breathing was intense and very technical ropes, ice axe, crampons, helmet, harnesses, the whole 9 yards to get to the vertical piece of ice to get to the very top. And it was amazing. It was among the hardest, if not the hardest peak I've ever climbed. And so the whole notion of that for me is think about those things in your own life or anybody's life out there if you're listening. what seems almost impossible or right at the edge of, I'm not sure I can do this, but you try it anyway. And what actually prompts you and gets you to that summit is their will, your desire, your intention. It just happens. It just happens. I used to tell students when I used to teach rock climbing, and they would say, oh my gosh, my foot is slipping. And I would tell them to talk to their feet and say, foot, stay there. And magically, it did. They would tell me this all the time. You said that you told me to keep my feet there. And it happened. It actually happened. But that's sort of the whole essence of anything that you're striving for.
Right.
Is you have to have the mental capacity and the will and the desire. Desire goes so much farther than any physical strength that anybody could ever muster up. It's the desire. I mean, if it's a really authentic desire, you can do it. It just happens magically. So that was my inspiration of doing that.
Oh, and that's so cool. I know that uh, with having been diagnosed with MS, I will be walking straight and all of a sudden I am walking sideways. And I have done exactly what you just said. I go, walk straight. And magically I do. And
Yeah.
it's that really in command of the focus of where I'm wanting to go.
Mhm.
And so really neat story. So I want to shift gears a little bit. And you've written a book.
Yeah.
Would you share with us, a lot of people want to write a book. They want to write a book and they just don't do it. So what was the inspiration that actually got that, book birthed?
Yeah, well, I had a sister and several of my family members. Every time I came back from an adventure somewhere in the world, she said, "Oh, Renee, you need to write a book." We've heard that in our own circle of influence and people around us. And I wanted to write a book for a long time, but actually, after climbing this peak, I, it was so fresh and the inspiration was so fresh. I just really sat down and wrote it because is just the inspiration of reaching each summit. So that the title of the book is Achieving Your Potential, 15 Empowering Steps to Reach Each Summit. So once again, I use the metaphor of reaching your summit, and your summit doesn't have to be a mountain summit. It's your desire, it's your calling, it's your goal, it's your dream, whatever it is. And it's each summit. Notice I say each summit because everybody's got multiple summits that they can reach. And writing a book was another summit for me. So
Well,
yeah.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, so the most recent big climb that I did was the inspiration to write the book.
Nice. One of the pieces of that title that I love is 15 steps. And because I know that it's not a run up, it's one step in front of the other. And sometimes we have to force ourselves to take that next step, even though we know it's the right step. And so I really get excited about the work that you're doing. And, everyone, one of the requests that I have for all of my guests is when they come on, because there's no sales that happen and that it is a give back program that I ask my people that are sharing to have something that would be of benefit to you for free that you can attach to. And so, Renee, I know you have something, so I'm going to just let you share with everybody what that is and how they can connect to it.
Okay. Well, as I said earlier, my perfect right client, the PRC that I look for, is really people who want to move. You want to grow. You want to move to the next level. You want to take some risks and step out of your comfort zone. I love working with people who want to go places. So if you're that person, my free gift to you is a 30-minute complimentary consultation coaching session with me. And I will put in somewhere, Gary, right, in my email.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
what you're going to do is you're going to put the link in the thread on Facebook. So
Okay.
everyone can go to that direct link and be able to connect with Renee directly.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm happy to do that. I'm thrilled if you're willing to step out and you know, make an appointment with me. I'm happy to work with you and carve out your direction, where you want to go, what you want to do, and we'll get you there. I can, um, you know, we're I can't guarantee anything, but it has to come from you. But it would be a delight to have that opportunity.
That's special. Thank you so much. So we're going to come back, and we're coming up to, the last third of the time together. And one of the things I always ask is, I really like what you're saying, is that we have to be willing to do something. We have to be willing to engage to get a result. So, what would you say the three biggest items or suggestions you could give each of us to be able to get on that road, to get on that mountain, to get on the path? So, just three things, and we did not rehearse this, guys.
Right.
I never do, and so there was no prep time for Renee to come up with the three magical things. But I know that you have it within you. So, what would you say for us would be those three items?
I would say that the three things that I mentioned in the book are right in the back cover of the book, and that is make your life count. So oftentimes we look back and say, oh, again, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. I mean, no one wants to live with regrets, right? So it's make your life count. And oftentimes that involves other people, giving to other people, sharing with other people, bringing value to other people. So one, make your life count. Two is get up, stand up, and move. And move out of that mediocrity or that stagnation that oftentimes we find ourselves in, perhaps multiple times during the pandemic. And it's get up, stand up, and move. And third is don't stop at one success. Like, I've made the mountain, I'm done. I'm so happy. Because that won't last very long. You have to come down the mountain. And then what? Well, you have to come down so that you can begin to plan and scheme your next summit. So don't stop at one. So those are my three.
Cool. Well, as you're describing those, there's a couple of thoughts that, and things that I have taught over the years is number one, momentum does not necessarily mean speed. It means
Yeah.
movement. And all three of your suggestions is about movement. It's about application. It's about engagement. And the other thing is, I tease the younger generation at times that when I was 20, I knew everything. And as I've gotten older, I realize the more that I know, the more that I know that I don't know. So there's
Exactly.
always that new summit, that new experience.
Mhm.
And I remember some stories from folks that, the men and women that have gone into space or they have gone to the moon, and they come back and they're so depressed because they say, well, what's beyond that? But there's always something as they sow that. And that's what I get excited about what you're doing with your clients. It's about a so that, not a so what. It's
Mhm.
not saying, okay, I climbed the mountain, now I get to sit on the porch. It's about what you get to do with that experience, what you get to now use that as a foundation to create something brand new, which is also where the adventure comes in.
That's
And,
beautiful.
um,
That's nicely said. Yes.
it's really exciting for me to to have you as a friend and a colleague, and that's why I thought it was really just a really neat connection for you to be on the program. So, really quick, guys, thank you so much for being on the program. We're going to have Renee do one last thing here. Please let people know if you would go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. You'll be notified when we do these. I have these scheduled out for, golly, I've got the next three or four already on the books, and you're going to be pleasantly surprised again about the guests that are coming on, and they're extremely interesting and all over the world. So, if you have any questions or suggestions about topics, please reach back out to me again. You can reach me at Gary at Gary Barnes, Barnes, international spelled out.com. So, Renee, thank you so much for being with me and everyone. So I'm going to give you the last word. What is it that you would like to send me and everyone that is watching and will be watching away with? What would you like to, inspire us to do or be, or, whatever that last word is?
Go for an adventure. Life is an adventure. We hear that all the time, but have an adventure. Step out and test the waters. Take some risks, and have a good time doing it. Because why have the adventure if you're not having a good time doing it? So you have to put the fun piece in there too.
Absolutely. Renee, it's been a delight. Thank you so much. Please, everyone, go to the thread, connect with Renee, and we'll see you on the next Facebook Give Back Breakthrough live series. I guess that's where I was. So have a great one, and we'll see you on the next program.
Yeah. Bye, everyone. Thank you.